Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning, the 31st of July. In this video we're going to a small community nestled in between the towns of Rogersville and Kingsport in northeast Tennessee. Of course we're going to the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, where over 4 years ago now, then 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared. Just completely gone, in the words of her mother, Candice Bly. What has happened in those 4 years? Well, not a lot. In terms of the investigation, Summer is still missing. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement and the TBI, Summer is still gone. The thing that her family are focused on now are Summer's 3 older brothers, who were 12, 11 and 9 when Summer disappeared. Summer went missing on June 15th, 2021, and a month later, in July of 2021, Summer's 3 brothers were taken by Child Protection Services, and they have never been returned. Now, if you've been following this case somewhat closely over the last few months on social media, because if you follow it in the mainstream media, you've heard nothing, seen nothing since the 4-year mark, when there was a little flurry of media interest in the case. But on social media, especially if you've been following my channel, because I've been reporting on it, you will know that the Wells allegedly were cleared of all the neglect allegations that the CPS brought against Don and Candice. But Summer's 3 brothers haven't been returned to the home. I believe that the 2 younger boys have been adopted, but it is true that the eldest boy, who is now going to be 16, is currently up for adoption. Now, it's a sticky situation legally. I'm not going to pretend that I know how the law works, in family law in Tennessee. But we do know that Don and Candice, sometime during the last 4 years, signed the boys away. That's why they've been able to get the younger 2 adopted. So even if they're cleared of neglect allegations, it's my understanding that they still don't have rights to their children, that they'd have to, apply to adopt the boys again. I don't know how it works. So if there's any experts in family law who watch this channel from Tennessee, could you let me know? Because that seems to be the heart of the matter. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, because it's been brought up again on the Find Summer Wells Facebook page. As time's gone by, this Facebook page isn't about finding Summer Wells. It's not about flyer distribution or putting search parties together or even discussing the case at all. The posts all focus around the boys being taken, CPS stealing them. Don Wells has even gone on record on mainstream media on WJHL saying that, CPS have their boys and he thinks they've been stolen. He thinks it's all, some kind of targeting campaign to take all of their children. Okay. Well, what we're going to talk about in this video is the latest post on Find Summer Wells. And we're going to look at some of the comments that have been posted under this post as well. So, let's go. So 8 hours ago, as I record this, the post reads, and I'm sure this is written by Tim Mullin, the quote-unquote media manager, rather than Don or Candice. Anyhow, so today is Stop World Trafficking Day. What is the proper word to use when your daughter disappears and DCS, so Department of Child Services, I think it is, the CPS in Tennessee, suddenly shows up and takes your 3 boys forever? They then clear you after interfering with the case for 4 years. But they go silent and keep your boys. And a week after they drop their DCS folly case, they put your eldest boy up on the adoption marketplace in a video interviewing him as a human product to sell. Made in Memphis, 500 miles from here. Is that trafficking? No, that's not trafficking. No. So once Summer disappeared, 110 Ben Hill Road turned into utter chaos. It's my understanding that the boys were taken, for their own safety. But wasn't it about the amount of drinking and the amount of drugs that you were taking, Dawn? Candice, was it? Was that the reason why they felt it was unsafe for the boys to stay there? I say this because we know some of what the Wells were asked to do in order to get their boys back. And this went on for years. The boys were in foster care, in limbo, for years before you eventually signed your rights away. And you could have got your boys back. It's my understanding that if you'd followed the protocols and the procedures necessary, take addiction courses and parenting classes and fixed your house up, which they kind of did, some of that you would have got your boys back if you'd done everything. And you didn't. You took the easy route and you signed your boys away. Please, someone tell me if I'm wrong. So no, it's not trafficking. What other words should we use? DCS doing their job, maybe? I mean, look, I don't like the fact that there's this video out there of Summer's brother. It feels like some kind of rescue puppy site. I get it. I do get it. I get what they feel here. But how else are adoption agencies meant to publicise the kids that they need to find homes for? I don't think there's an easy answer to it, honestly. No case, no guilt, yet keeping our sons. Because you signed your rights away, that's why. Not to mention, there were 3 of the 5 witnesses the day our daughter, Summer Moon Utah Wells, disappeared. Did they hinder her case? Yes. By hindering us, by taking the boys, how could we concentrate on Summer? Listen, that's just an excuse. I get that if the parents are completely innocent, the devastation of Summer going missing must have been absolutely horrific. I don't wish it on my worst enemy, having a missing person, especially a young child, in your family. It's horrible. But you've been given so much time to do the procedures and follow the rules necessary to get your boys back. I don't see how Summer's case, given that you've had years to do it, is relevant. I get that in the early days it was chaotic and you may have turned to your addictions of choice because your head's bashed. I'm not unsympathetic to that, but you've had years to get this sorted, to get yourselves right. And if you're that head bashed, well, DCS did the right thing, taking the boys to a place of safety. And no, it's not hindering the case. Just because 3 of the 5 witnesses are no longer at the property doesn't mean to say that they can't give evidence to forensic psychologists and law enforcement, and they've been interviewed numerous times. Is that why you're upset? Because you can't control what the boys said? I don't know, that's just my opinion. Our boys could have helped us find her. Oh, so you're going to put 3 little boys, 12, 11 and 9, in search parties? What are you going to get them to do? Go out in the woods looking for her? Well, if you think Summer walked away, well, aren't you scared that your boys are going to go missing as well? So that's just silly. Did they talk to our church? No. Did they try to contact our relatives? No. Did they try to use local counselling to help our boys during the chaos? No. But if the boys were living at home and you still had the rights to them, well, would you have allowed them to go to counselling? Would you allow them to have got the help that they needed at the time? I guess no. They just wanted our boys. And this is a victim forever here. They took them hundreds of miles away. Well, yeah, it was a high-profile case. Of course they did. They damaged them so bad. Put them on drugs. I don't know. I heard that they were being treated for ADHD, so I don't know what kind of drugs they were on. All the time telling us how bad we were. Well, there was a case to answer, wasn't there? They then had the gall to say it had nothing to do with Summer, not to bring her into it. Well, it wasn't to do with Summer. It's not routine, regardless of where you live, whether you live in my country, whether you live in Tennessee, whether you live in Canada, because a similar thing is going down in Canada in the Lily and Jack Sullivan case. DCS, CPS are involved with the child that hasn't gone missing. It's not a routine thing for all children in a family to be taken by CPS, DCS, whatever you call it where you live. We call it social services here in the UK. If a child goes missing in a family, it isn't routine that child services take the other children. CPS may be notified that there's a child missing. They do have to consider the safety of any other children in that house. But it doesn't mean to say that they're going to take kids just because you've got a missing child. They'll take your kids when they realise that the remaining children are in danger. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the child who's gone missing. It's to do with the whole host of things that they look for when they're navigating the horrible situation where a child isn't safe. And in this case, the 3 boys definitely weren't safe. So there's that. Fine Summer Wells disagrees. It has everything to do with Summer. They damaged our boys. They nearly drove us to suicide over and over. Then they go oops and close the case. And then put our eldest online to sell. Please tell us if this is not trafficking. It's not trafficking. They closed the case. They cleared us of all of their 4 years, the worst bogus accusations. I don't think that house being dreadfully unsafe is bogus. I don't think that the addictions that you clearly had, because you were all over the internet showing us, is bogus. I don't believe that those addictions weren't true, because we saw it with our own eyes. So that's nonsense as well. And then they keep the boys. So Summer appears today, and who will tell her that her brothers have been sold off? Well, if Summer appears today, just walks out from the woods somehow, 4 years older, and she walks back to 110 Ben Hill Road, what will CPS do? Well, it's my understanding that Summer could go home. But did they sign the rights away to Summer as well in her absence? If they signed away the rights to Summer as well, then no, she would go into the system. But if you didn't, then I guess it would be you that would tell her. And you'd tell her a load of lies as to why her brothers were taken. You say they were stolen. You say they were stolen and sold off. You call it trafficking. But no. We complain when CPS, DCS don't do their job and they leave a child in absolute danger. We call them out, and we have a perfect right to call them out. Child services in this country get it wrong sometimes. They get it right a lot of the time, but they get it wrong sometimes. And when they get it wrong, it's absolutely devastating for that child. So I'd rather them err on the side of caution when you've got a situation like this than not. She'll say, why? Why did they keep my brothers? A little bit of emotional blackmail going down here. If they dropped the case, why didn't they send Jay home? Kingsport DB High School was ready to give him a great education. He was approved. Sorry, Summer, DCS wouldn't communicate with us. They had what they wanted. And Jay, who they took everything from, even took him from his younger brothers, had to suffer more and more. Look, we don't know what mental state the boys are in. Are they better off where they are now than staying at 110 Ben Hill Road? I would say yes, but I don't know. I don't know what their experiences have been over the last 4 years. I do think it's sad that they've been separated, that the 2 younger boys and the eldest boy have been separated. I don't know whether they've been separated the whole time or whether that was just a thing to do with adoption. I don't know the circumstances, and nor do I need to know the circumstances, but it is sad that they have been separated. So I agree with that, really. FBI and DCS hindered the Summer Wells case from the start. The FBI did. Did they really? How? How could they do that to her? More emotional blackmail. How could they do that to our boys? They had no business to nose into an Amber Alert case. Listen, the child services don't automatically spring into action and take your children when one child in a family has got an Amber Alert. They don't automatically take the children. There have to be reasons that is pertaining to the safety of those children that are still in the home. They don't just take them. And it doesn't matter whether one child has an Amber Alert or not. They are not law enforcement. No, they're not. But they still have a job to do. And then the case pertains to family law. I mean, potentially, criminal cases are founded when a child goes into CPS care and they realise that the neglect or abuse is so bad that it tantamounts to crimes. Then law enforcement get involved. Alright, there's a few interesting comments here. So Angie says, I read the whole post and a comment got me thinking. The way I understand, they took the boys for safety. But the person who wrote this post is only telling half the story. They absolutely are. But find Summer Wells comments. This is what they told us when they took them. We then realised it was a setup. No, it wasn't a setup. No one set you up. CPS came in, saw the unsafe conditions the boys were living in, and they acted. It was chaos on the property. We wanted them safe. So, yeah, you voluntarily gave them away. But then you couldn't get them back because you didn't do what was necessary to get them back. They took advantage of the horrible vulnerability we had when Summer disappeared. It was after they got them that we realised that we had been duped. We had family to send the boys to. They said no. Like who? Like who do you have? I mean, Candice has a normal sister. As far as I understand it, she's a normal person. Well, who else was there? Don's parents are elderly, so I couldn't go there, I don't suppose. Like, who are these people? Who are these family? Don's sister? Candice's sister? I don't know. They never talked to our pastor, our church people who were on the property. I say this too, if someone came on the property to take the boys, there was enough law enforcement there to handle it. Well, not all the time there wasn't. Not at the end of July when the boys were taken. Do you expect law enforcement to keep guard over your property forever? And it's not just about the boys being physically unsafe due to, I don't know, someone who want to come and kidnap them as well. We're looking at the unsafe conditions inside the home. Not outside of it, inside the home. They stayed parked by our house and later on the road by our driveway for a long time after June 15th. So that thought has no merit, that people say online. Well, again, the dangers were inside the home, not outside of it. They just got them in and off, and they went 300 miles away. Well, it was 500 a few minutes ago. Our poor sons have suffered greatly. And then Sharon says, lies! For those of us who have followed the case, know the above is all lies. Law enforcement is getting too close for comfort. I don't know that they are. I don't know that they are. But Fine Summer Wells says, you are clueless. One more and I'll block you. Oh dear. So the rest are saying things like, I hope you have a lawyer, hope attorneys will help you. Do you have attorneys? I think if they truly do want their boys back, then they need to get a good attorney. They do. Rather than just posting on Facebook, like, we expect our boy to come back, we expect him to be sent back. That's not going to work because you've signed your rights away. So, yeah, they need a lawyer. They do. They need a lawyer who's an expert in family law to sort this out. So stop posting on social media and get on that. That's the best course of action. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye folks. Tilly! Good girl.